Maybe you have already heard the word sidechain or sidechain compression. It's a popular compression technique often used in electronic music or hip-hop, for instance. It's what gives this kind of effect. Like we hear, each time the kick hits, the pad volume is lowered to give space for the kick, giving that pumping effect. Here the kick is triggering the pad compression, that is what we call sidechain compression. So, sidechain is a way to control the compressor with a different signal than the signal on which the compression is applied. So, we need three elements for sidechain compression. First, the main signal, for example, an 808. It's the signal on which the compression is applied. Secondly, we need a compressor with a sidechain function. And finally, we need the sidechain signal controlling the compressor. It's this one that will trigger the compressor and tell it when to compress. We can take, for example, a kick. So, the main signal is the one that will be affected by the compressor, and as soon as the sidechain signal crosses over the threshold we define, the compression of the main signal will start. It's the crossing of the threshold by the sidechain signal that triggers the compression of the main signal. Let's see that in action. Depending on the DAW you're using, the setup of a sidechain compression may be different, so find out how to do it. It could vary if you're on Ableton, Pro Tools, Logic, FL Studio, etc. For this example, I'm gonna take a kick and an 808, which is a common situation to mix 808 and kick in hip-hop. Like that, kick and bass are fighting a little bit, we lack a bit of clarity, and the kick is slightly drowned, so we are losing punch. A solution to fix that could be trying other combinations of kick and 808 that fit better together, but here we're gonna use sidechain compression to lower the volume of the bass when the kick hits in order to get a better mix between the two. So the 808 is our main signal, and the kick is the sidechain signal. On the bass I loaded this compressor that has a sidechain function, and on FL Studio, to set up the sidechain circuit, I previously selected the kick track in the mixer, then right-click here at the bottom of the 808 track, and select Sidechain to this track. Then in the plugin window I go to Settings, Processing tab, and next to Stereo Sidechain I right-click and select my sidechain signal, the kick. But as I said, it will be different in other DAW, so learn how to do it with what you use. And now we can set the compressor like we know. Threshold equals when, so if I set minus 20 decibels, compression starts when the kick crosses minus 20 decibels. Ratio equals how much. Let's listen how the compression increases and decreases when we play with the ratio. When we increase it, we get more of the sidechain effect, because we're compressing more each time the kick hits. Now I can adjust the output gain to compensate. We get a better mix between the two with the kick that brings out better, and we have more clarity because there is less conflict in the low frequencies when the two elements hit. And that gives more punch. For attack and release, we also need to have the same usual approach, so when triggered by the kick, we're gonna set the compressor reaction time with attack, and the time to get back to level 0 of compression with the release. So we can give very different effects with attack and release, and we're gonna look at this on the next example. Let's get back to what we have seen at the beginning of the video with the kick and the pad, and see the influence of attack and release. Let's start with the ratio first. We get more of that pumping effect with a higher ratio. By adjusting the release, we change the feeling of the sidechain effect. It's because the compressor is releasing at different rates every time the kick falls back below the threshold. It's interesting to see how we can control the compressor with the release in order to get the sound we want, if we rather prefer the volume of the pad to recover rapidly or gradually. And we can also play with the attack. So we can get interesting and unique results when we play with attack and release. So this is what is sidechain compression. Ducking is another word you can meet that designates sidechain compression as well. It's a very popular technique in electronic music where we use the kick as a sidechain signal to compress other tracks. In hip-hop it's commonly used, like we have seen, to mix kick and bass. But we are not forced to use only a kick as a sidechain signal. We can use this technique with a snare or anything else. So experiment by yourself and let your creativity run free.